Hey guys, it's AlleyOopDunks here. Let's see the topics for today.
Hello from me as well. So we're gonna talk about the credit bank results from last week for our team, and any highlights in terms of players across the league, coach of the week for round 12, team trades for AlleyOopDunks, and the team formation. So starting then from the credit bank, we had Okobo getting out of hand 27 points, and he actually gave 39.6 fantasy points, increased his value by 1 credit. I would say it remains a little bit expensive. We see him having a lot of ups and downs in his performances, so maybe one to keep an eye. Potentially he's a little bit expensive if you take account consistency.
Also, let me add with a new coach that was announced by Monaco on Tuesday. Coach Panoulis is the new head coach of Monaco.
Yeah, so we see how that also affects Okobo, but he shouldn't have any issue with that, most probably. Let's see then the rest. So Guduric had a really good game. He increased by 0.6 credits. He gave 25.3 fantasy points. Again, this is one of the players that we wouldn't really recommend to base our teams upon because of his consistency. So similar pattern. And then Carl Jones orchestrating the offense for Partizan, taking the big win in the Serbian derby. So he increased his value also by 0.6 credits. And from these 3 players, I would say potentially is the most attractive here. And in terms of coaches, we have Herbert continuing the great work in Bayer, so increased by 0.5 his credits. On the other hand, though, Lasso, he keeps having a bad record. I think since round 7, haven't won. So he keeps dropping, and now he's at 4.9 credits. But although for a calibre coach as Lasso, this seems to be quite low. He's having a tough game in Lithuania, so we're still going to stay away for this week. And then the other 3 players, I mean, if we exclude the legend Bellinelli, of course it is a tough season for Bellinelli now at the start. We're sure he's gonna pick the games when he wants to give it all, and probably he's gonna have some games very good within the season. So a player to admire, but potentially not a player to get on our team right now unless he starts getting more consistent. And B. Brown and Harrison, we would also avoid them even the reduction on the valuations. I wanted to mention before we move on that we keep having Leday on the top performances, and Maledon lately also he's back on the good performances. And I think with Swords, 3 and Hayes Davis, a couple of players that we look in because of their consistency.
Yeah, that's true. And you see round 11 results. I mean, the whole team performed great. I might say Hayes Davis was our captain from turn 1. Keep in mind there was 3 turns in round 11, and we didn't have to choose Mirotic, for example, for turn 2 because Hayes Davis gave us 41.25 points. So we got 181.50 fantasy points and 2.6 credits. So that's also with the coach Matteo gave us 20 fantasy points, and it was important and crucial in as Bill have said in the past, in our effort to rebuild the team and make it more strong. It is important if like the minimum points you get is 16, and that's from Lesor. Imagine So it was an amazing performance all around from the team. Even Kahudi gave us 4 fantasy points because he was on the bench. Um, so I believe it was an amazing performance. Also, you see, Petrusev gave 23 fantasy points. We mentioned Petrusev in the last two episodes. I remember it was a bargain to get with. If I remember correctly, 7.1 or 7.4 credits, something in between that.
I
So
like that, yeah.
yeah, so you see now it keeps rising, his credits and the price. So it's good to have him on the team, even as the third forward as an option.
Yeah. So that's our X Factor Petrusev. So let's see then for this week, getting into round 12, the coach selection. So there are a couple of coaches that we like this week. But we think the most solid selection potentially is Ataman. The champions are playing at home versus Monaco, that we mentioned before. They have new coach, another legend, Spanoulis. So potentially we're gonna see a bouncing back from the loss they had in Lithuania versus Valkyries. So with it is an expensive option, 9.1, but again we think coach is key in your team. So the deficit between having a minus when they lose fantasy points versus even 10 or 50 or 20 could be quite big and make a difference in your total score. So let's move on to see how our team is formatted for next round. And before that, let's go to the trades, right?
Yes. So as you see now, we have made three trades in total, 2 players and the head coach. However, keep in mind you have four. You may trade 4 players, 3 players and the coach, or 4 players, as you may choose. So for this round, we traded out Edwards, who gave an amazing performance with 28.6 fantasy points. But we think he's playing in versus Crvena Zvezda in Serbia. So we think there is a possibility of the atmosphere and maybe they guard him better this round, so he might not having this type of game. However, with 11.9 credits is a good choice to have in your team. And then you see Lazic with 4 credits. It was just a filler for the team. And we thank Coach Mateo for his 20 fantasy points. But now they have the local derby versus Barcelona. So for that reason, we choose Coach Katash. Maccabi is coming from a defeat versus Olimpia Milano, but now they're playing away versus Alba Berlin. Maccabi is a tough team, and we believe they have the quality and what it takes to get the victory versus Alba. And then we upgraded the guard position with 2 players, with Francisco and Manion. So Francisco had a good game versus Panathinaikos and got 18.7 fantasy points, and also Manion had 15.4 fantasy points. As you see, we believe with the Bolmaro injury, and also Dimitrievich was injured while playing for his national team. So we think Manion will be the key factor for Olimpia Milano at the guard position.
Cool. So let's see how our team is then formatted. So round 12, we kept 2.2 credits in the bank and waiting to use them next week, and that's mainly because we are going with a cheap option at the coach position, so Katas, as you see. And then we want to stick with our duo on forwards. If you remember, in the past, our duo at forwards was Vezenkov and Mirotic, but we think the best option when Vezenkov is not available is Hayes Davis. He's been productive for lately, and he's been in very good form. Then the duo at the center remains. So we have Lesort and Lovren. We're gonna keep an eye on Lovren, and we think he started well. He bounced back well after his injury. That is one player that we may keep in our options, as we're also evaluating Milutinov, for example, is one player we would like to add on our team. But if we were to do that, we didn't have great options around the guards. So we kept this duo, and we have Francisco that plays on turn one. So we wanted to have a player that could be used as captain for turn one, and that's Francisco. And then, of course, we mentioned earlier Magnon. With all the injuries at Milano, we think he's going to have a crucial role in the away game versus Alba Berlin. And of course, the X Factor remains, and the other three fillers on our bench. For second round, we will have to select, a captain from potentially Mirotic or Head Davids or even Lesor, something we will decide last minute. And as always, if we make any last minute changes due to injuries, we're gonna post it on X, our team formation. So please follow us there, and also like and subscribe to this video and to our channel. And we shall see you next week. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, guys, good luck. Remember, post your teams, your questions, or suggestions, and enjoy round 12 of Euroleague. See you soon.